Shalom, family. It's good to see you. Shalom, Pink Meadows. Shalom, Jamal Bay. Thank you for coming. This is not going to be long. Shalom, Miss Abiel. This will not be a long live stream. You know, I looked at some of the responses to the live stream I did last night. And I have to tell y'all, I'm really disturbed by some of the stuff that some of y'all wrote. And it's not you per se, but, just some of the responses were very off. Let's just put it that way. Very off. And I'm not trying to make anybody feel a certain way, but I must speak when I see people write, oh, well, everybody was the child of Israel, and that's what you should say. Everybody, just like we're called many different things on this earth. If you got our people in France, they're called French. We're called Americans. It was the same way back then, even in the Bible. We were not all called the same thing. And some of y'all really, I'm not pointing fingers at you per se, because it was not, just looking at your names, it was not you. But some of our people are writing that kind of stuff. We're still Israelite and blah, blah, blah. We were called many different things all throughout the Bible. And I mean, who were the Pharisees and Sadducees? Who were the Greeks they were talking about in the Bible? And Genesis go over lineage, and many of those people referred to themselves as their lineage. They weren't saying they were Hebrew, but whatever their lineage was. And that was an important thing. That's why that was heavily spoke about in Genesis. So no, we just like you're referred to, just like we got people in Canada, they would be referring to themselves as Canadian. It was the same way back then. So when you write, oh, well, we're just one thing, we were just called one thing, that's not true. You were called many things all throughout that Bible. So, I mean, that's really disturbing that some of our people don't realize that. And you're writing things that are absolutely not true. So, I'm not trying to insult anybody, but perhaps maybe another run through of the Bible maybe be appropriate for some of our people that think we were just called consistently one thing. Even the people that strayed away, when you read, they were called the lost sheep. Right? There was a distinction. They were even making a distinction then. Those that strayed away were lost sheep. So, wow. I never thought we would be this far in, and some people would be writing stuff like that. If you do know, then you sure didn't show it in the comment section. That's all I'm saying. So, no, there is no one thing we were ever referred to, and I think what we see today is a reflection of that. We're not called one thing, are we? I think it is a reflection, although many of the things we're called are abominations, but we're still not referred to as one thing and one thing only. And it was the same even then. So, just go in there and just read all of the different things. Now, why were they called the Pharisees and Sadducees? They rejected the oral laws that we had. They wouldn't even accept that. So, being that they rejected Part of what we did, we had the oral law and written law, and they would not recognize the oral laws. So there was a distinction in referring to them a certain way because they did not accept all of our Heavenly Father's laws. So, please just do a little more thinking before you write stuff like that because there's a lot of people writing falsehoods in these comment sections about who we are. Yes, many of us refer to ourselves as Hebrew Israelites, but many of you are also trying to say this is what we were all, referred to all throughout the Bible, and that's absolutely not true. That's not true. I mean, I don't want I don't want us to be quite this misguided in these last days because that is not true. You can open up 10 chapters right now and read them, and we are not consistently referred to as Hebrew Israelites, but other things, but we know what they're talking about. Even when you're reading like Kings, for example, they're referring to the people as Judea, right? But that doesn't say those are not people that were Hebrew Israelites, but that's what they went by back in those times. Now, we know the Gentiles have corrupted a lot of stuff, but it doesn't take away that we were not consistently called one thing. All right. But we know what they're talking about. And then I had another person wrote Job was a Gentile. No, Job was not a Gentile, but the people that were comforting him at those times, they were Gentiles that he was friends with. Please be careful about what you're writing. Please be careful, for real. Yeah, because it just like we are watching and being mindful about what we're called, you also got to be mindful about the things that you're saying as well. But yes, I had somebody, Job was a Gentile. And remember, our Heavenly Father did not want us marrying Gentile, but Job had Dinah as his wife. If you remember, Dinah was his wife. Why would our Heavenly Father let Job marry Dinah? And he was a Gentile. That would never have been allowed. He was a Hebrew. The Teman or Temanites that were around him were Gentiles, but they were his friends. They were the ones that were trying to comfort him through his rough times. But I had somebody write a long, um, a couple of paragraphs about Job being a Gentile. I'm like, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my, and no, no, mm-mm. If that were the case, he would never have had Dinah as his wife. The Most High would have definitely not allowed that to happen. So I'm not trying to insult people, but do another run through of the Bible. Okay, just do another run through and just see how many different things we were called in the Bible. We were never consistently called one thing. And then the one that broke the camel's back was somebody wrote they're still Hebrew but Gentile tendencies. No, that was not even in the Bible. Nobody was called Hebrews with Gentile tendencies. Okay, that's not in there. Please, please, everybody, please don't get in comment sections writing stuff like that anymore. If you don't know, look it up. Shalom, Donna, Sheriff. Thank you so much for the super chat. Shalom to you. If you don't know, just look things up. You know, even I got to refer back to things when I am, just talking. And sometimes I'll stop myself and I'll grab my I got my father's old King James Bible, the last one he had. This thing is old, it's falling apart, pages are coming out of it. But if you still got to refer to it, you just do. I do. I do. And I don't want you to be lost in these last days. And some of you, just based on the things you wrote, it's very obvious. I don't want to insult anybody, but please do a better job in knowing what you're talking about. No, nobody was referred to in the Bible as Hebrews with Gentile tendencies or Gentile ways. We were never referred to like that. Yeah, yeah. So, I've read it 4 times. And another thing I don't want y'all to do is don't tell somebody they're wrong. Hi, B Miles. Don't tell somebody that they are wrong and then you don't explain why they're wrong, because you are in error at that point. Okay, you are the one that's in error. And see, we have a lot of people playing those cat and mouse games, ladies and gentlemen, because they want to appear like they're smarter than everybody else, and actually they're the ones in error. Okay, it's just like me doing this live stream. Why would I get on a live stream and say I'm wrong? Go, you're all wrong. Go look that up. You're wrong. Go look that up. I wouldn't do that, because that doesn't even make any sense for me to do that. If I'm not going to get to the point, then why are you bothering writing anything? So I'm just going to get rid of you at that point, because I know what you're doing. You're trying to portray yourself like you are above in knowledge than someone else. And really, that's really never the case, y'all. When people play those games with you, it's never the case that they're above you and more knowledge and all that stuff. It's never the case. Especially if they can't tell you what it is, then it's counterproductive for you to even write that. Yes, if you go back in Genesis is very important. I know it's kind of long, where it talked about this begot this, and this folks got this way. It's long, but back in those times, that's how people referred to each other, by their lineage. If you got introduced to someone, they would often mention what I'm Benjanite, or Jebubite, I'm this, I'm that. That's how they would refer to themselves. Nobody was standing there in your face saying, I'm Hebrew Israelite. Nobody was doing that. They would tell you what their lineage was. So we were not referred to in one way ever. We never were. So I just want you to know that. So some people would just stop writing that kind of stuff. Like, we are all called one thing. Trust me, when we get back in the kingdom, we're not going to all be called one thing. We may be going by our lineage. We may have, we're all getting a new covenant. And in that new covenant, it's going to be many different things. But we're going to all know one thing. We're all part of the same 12 tribes. We're in that family, but we're still going to be calling each other different things, even when we get there. Hmm. I mean, No, all I want to do is just point out, some of the things I saw that were absolutely incorrect. You know, I I mean, it's okay if you want to make your point and say that, we are all Hebrews. Yes, we are. But we were definitely not all called the same thing. That is just my point. Mhm. Yeah, yeah, and even all throughout our recent history, we've look at how many you can pull up videos right now, and you got people that call themselves more, right? And you have some men and women that refer to themselves as Egyptian. I mean, we got all kinds of things that we reference as ourselves even online. So Eric Tinsley, thank you so much for the super chat. Israel for Israel. Yes. Thank you for that. Yes. You know, and there are also a lot of people that will tell you, the mixed races cannot get into the kingdom. All right. Well, when I did my family tree, ladies and gentlemen, it's really hard to say these things. And I think the Heavenly Father will sort many of these things out. My great grandmother, I got a picture of her and everything, was a biracial woman as a result of rape. All right. And if I showed you this picture, or I showed you, took a picture of it and posted it, she is obvious biracial. You can see the light skin. One of my cousins that lived in Newark, New Jersey, has a big chest and it's filled with pictures, all old pictures. And this picture of her was when she was a young woman. It was during the time of chattel slavery. She had very light, you could tell she was a light complected woman. And, my cousin actually remembers her because when he was a little boy, she was still living. And he said she had bright green eyes and she had her hair up in a bun, but you could see it was very wavy and had some curls to it, like you would see on a lot of biracial people. So when I hear people talking about lineage, okay, so does that strike me out because she was the result of rape? Okay, it wasn't that many generations back. So am I now off the list because I got this one relative as a result of rape? So we really need to be careful about the things that we say. You know, um, Even some of the biracials that you see today were the result of rape. They're not all the result of a relationship between two different people. Some of those are rape even to this day. I mean, on this generation, I mean, he knew these things would happen to us. When you go down south, it is not unusual because this is even in my family for one child to be light and then the rest of the children are, they look like us. They're melanated, right? That's even in my family. My grandmother's first child, my Aunt Eddie Mae, is unusually lighter than the other children, like my father. My father was a dark skinned man, but he has an older sister, a sister older than him, and she is way lighter than the others. Do you realize even our grandmothers were raped? It was and when I got down south, it was not unusual to see a black woman that will have one biracial child, but then she'll marry a man and the rest of her children are dark melanated children. And a lot of that was rape. Remember, those folks grew up in Jim Crow. They grew up in the time where their doors were kicked in by these, by these offspring of the slave master, and they were raped. So my grandmother got one that looks totally different from the other children she had with my grandfather. And, believe it or not, that's more common than uncommon among the elders down in the South. I'm just saying, y'all. I'm just telling y'all, it's more common than uncommon. And a lot of times they were raped. And I remember throughout my grandmother's life, she wouldn't even talk about the father of my Aunt Eddie Mae. She didn't speak about it. I mean, it was that traumatizing for her. She wouldn't speak at all. But you could clearly tell there was a difference between her and the other 8 children she had. Obvious differences. So these things are not that far removed. That's what I'm telling you. It's not, even to this day. You may not hear it, but trust me, it's still going on. Rape is still going on among our people, and all of these people doing the raping are not of our group. These are people, these are Gentiles. Yeah, Miss Abiel said my great aunt could pass. There you go. And that's not an unusual thing. And I just choose to let our Heavenly Father sort these things out. That's why I really don't, if you notice, I don't say a lot about those things in videos. I don't, about, oh, well, these are people of mixed race, but we don't know. But my grandmother had my first aunt, my Aunt Eddie Mae, when she was still a teenager. But she won't talk about the father. She would not talk about none of it. It was you could tell it was a trauma she did not even want to remember. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I mean, many of us know, or we even have this in our families. Oh yeah, our yeah, I'm not saying that some of these people are lost, because unfortunately we have many among ourselves that think Gentiles are better. So you can see how this would have happened even among our forefathers. Look at how some of them walk around now. They think if they got a Gentile man and they're married to him, they're better, or they got something better, or if they got a Gentile woman, that's better than you Hebrew women. And people still think like that now. So can you imagine how bad this was among our forefathers that were, and foremothers that were around Gentiles? We complain about this stuff now. Can you imagine what it was like even back then? Sharon says you look like your great great grandmother, Sharon Compton. Yeah, many of us do. Many of us do. I mean, and how do we know that part of what we're looking at is that slave master that raped your great 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 grandmother. you know I'm sure some of those looks are still in the family, and I'm sure are in mine as well. Yeah, I think I told y'all this before. My grandmother had a friend, and she was blind, and they were friends. They grew up together, knew each other, and even as old women, they would sit around on the porch and talk. Well, when I was about 16 years old, I was asking her, I said, how are you blind by birth, or did you ever see? By the time this woman got finished telling me what happened to her, I was in tears. What happened was she kept getting raped over and over. This was my grandmother's friend. She kept getting raped over and over by the same white man. One day she got tired of it, and she fought back. The one time she fought back, he pushed his fingers so far into her eyes, she went blind and could never see from that point on. And that was for fighting back from getting raped. By the time she told me that, y'all, I was bawling. I was in tears after she told me what happened to her. But this was my grandmother's best friend. They used to sit together on the porch sometimes all day long, just sit on the porch, just talking. So, yeah, it's painful to hear those kind of things, but that's our reality. A lot of the mixing we did not want, but a lot of it was forced upon us. A lot of it was. Yeah, you know, and I even had to come to grips with a lot of that when I did my family tree. I had to come to grips that Esau was mixed up in my family lineage when I went back to look. Yeah, it was terrible. Like I said, I was just some kid that came from the city into into the country to visit my family, and that it brings the reality to us of just how much hell our people have gone through. Not just on a physical level or lynching, but I think I can even go as far as calling it sexual apartheid because a lot of stuff was forced on us sexually too. hmm Yeah. So that's all I wanted to address this morning. I didn't want to keep you long. I just wanted to talk about some of the comments, and I just want our people to understand that we were always called different things, even in ancient times. So don't just get on this one thing about Hebrew Israelites and believe that's all we were calling ourselves all throughout history, because that's not true. That's not true at all. hmm Well, you look at it this way, it's almost over. This is almost over. I even had a person say, well, we ain't under the curses no more. The Gentiles are under the curses. Yeah, but you're still in the Gentiles' kingdom. All right. You are in the Gentile kingdom, and Yahushai did not return yet. Okay. He didn't return yet. So, no, we may not be, we may be right now transitioning out of the curses. I would agree with that. We are, but this ain't over. We didn't see the return of Yahweh yet. So no, you're still under those curses. Yes, we do see what's going on with the Gentiles, and I ain't gonna lie to you, I'm taking joy watching them fall. I'm enjoying I'm enjoying watching their kingdom wither away. I'm not upset about that at all. You know? I mean, I know many of us are ready to move on from this. Trust me, I'm feeling it myself. But we still have to sit and be patient because although we're near the end, we are not at the end yet. We still got a ways to go, you know? But hey, enjoy the festivities while you can. Enjoy that part. I would never tell you not to. I mean, it's amazing looking at how much things have changed from 2019 to now. It is a dramatic change, very dramatic. I was looking at even the 6 million that were gone over the last 2 years. Yeah, that is a dramatic drop in the life expectancy here in America. You're talking just here. Just here. You're not even talking about the rest of the world of how many are gone. 6 million. 6 million. Yeah, we are, Miss Abiel. We are transitioning away from the curses, but we're not completely out. You can't say that, and you're still sitting in the Gentile world right now, and we're still being called the same bywords, and we're still going through their wretched, rigged up court system, and their cops are still out here treating you like dirt. So no, you can still see police shootings virtually every day. So no, that would indicate that you are not out of the curses. It's safe to say that. Yeah, I understand. It's that Cawizzle one. I understand. I feel that way too. I mean, it wouldn't be normal if you weren't feeling that sometimes. I mean, that's normal. You're tired, you're sick of looking at the things that are happening and how we're being done. And wow, it is just it's mind-boggling. And yes, it gets on your nerve. You want it done, you want it over with. But I have to trust in the Most High because if He's making us wait, He's doing that for a reason. And I accept that. So I will be patient over whatever period of time that I need to be patient. But that's normal for you to feel that way. Yes, 6 million. Rania, 6 million. You can look it up. Sharon Compton, thank you for the super sticker. Yeah, it does, you know, because I mean, look, we've seen it through our whole lifetime. That's why to us, to many people, it feels like, oh, it's always going to be this way. This is never going away. I'm stuck like this, until I go to the grave. No, it is. I really believe we are that generation that is spoken about towards the end. I do. I really believe that. Hmm. Yeah, because this is what you've seen all throughout your entire life. You know, whether you were growing up Christian like I was, or you came into the truth a little later in your life and you still seen all the same atrocities. Thank you, Lady Rule, hashtag ADOSB1 for the super sticker. Mhm. And they are. They're being dealt with. They are, you know? And just watching how this whole thing is unfolding towards the end, it just like all we can do is watch. We don't know what's going to happen one day to the next, but I tell you what, it is bad. It is really bad over there in the Ukraine, and the Russians don't give a crap about who they're killing. They are wiping those people out. And all they can do on American news is tell you, oh, it's a small country, but they're holding their own up against the Russians. And when you go online, that's not necessarily true. The Russians have already captured a few cities up in there, and they won't let those people leave. They are blocking them from evacuating. They can't leave. But I said, isn't that instant judgment for what y'all did to those Africans up at the border? You wouldn't let them leave. Now the Russians won't let their folks leave from out of the cities that they captured. So it's bad. I looked at the damage on the buildings, and I read yesterday one of those fighter jets, Russian, took out a military base over there in Ukraine. It took out one of their, I think one of their main military bases, probably one of the bigger ones they had. He bombed it from a jet. In fact, you can watch the footage of it on YouTube of the jet firing off the rocket and firing a missile and hit their main military base with it. So no, it's not going well. And that's why they're begging for help. If you notice that president, that Zelensky, he is begging for help every single day with these European leaders, and all of them are afraid because you know why? Russia's going to keep their word. If they say you try to assist them, we're going to come after you. They're not joking. They're not joking. They are. And so, everybody is, they're afraid because if Russia fires on them and they fire back, then doesn't that jump off World War III? That's what they're all trying to avoid. But over time, it's not going to be avoidable, you know? And let's be real, look at what Russia's doing. If you want Russia out of there, the only way to pull them out is a war. You're not going to be able to get them out any other way. You heard about all the sanctions, sanction this, sanction that. That's all we hear every day. Sanction, sanction, sanction. Is that pulling him out? He's going full steam ahead. He doesn't care what sanctions they're putting on, and he could, he's not backing off because of some sanctions. Hmm. Yeah, China and Iran. Yeah, you're right. You know, but see, Putin is showing them he's not going to let the West rule over him and tell him what to do. If you notice, he's just blowing off anything that they say. He could care less. And see, and they're also mad because Putin is giving them two options to get out. He said they can get out and go to Russia, or they can get out and go to Belarus. And both of them, and they're upset because they don't want to go to those two places as their option because it's controlled by Russia. So they don't want to go over there. But that's the option that Putin gave them. You want to leave? Okay, you can go into Belarus or you can go into Russia. And that's what they absolutely don't want. Yeah, he doesn't care. He doesn't care. And see, that is the problem that Biden and the NATO and all of them got is because they can't control Putin like they want. See, the usual threats are not working on him. See, before you could sanction a country and somewhere along the line, they'll try to come back and negotiate with the US to get some of the sanctions taken off, right? That's what North Korea did with Trump. They came together with him to try to get some of the sanctions off. But Putin don't care. He ain't even trying to sit down with the countries that put the sanctions on him. He ain't even worried about them. I mean, remember, he is an old KGB man. That's what that's what he was when he was younger. He was KGB. So he ain't thinking about these folks. And right now, Biden just looks like he looked like a little girl running a country right now. He talked all that tough talk before Putin went in there. And since Putin been in there, he ain't done nothing but sat down with a pen pushing all these sanctions, but had all the mouth in the world before Putin went in there. So he's looking weak. That's why so many people in both parties are complaining about Biden, just looking like a little weak lightweight. And he does. Yeah, I did see that TN, how the Ukrainians and Russians are all running to Bitcoin now, cryptocurrency. But I don't care what nobody say. I really think if they need money or do bank wires, I really believe China will let them do it, because Putin and China and Z, they're very close. And whatever money issues they're having, I really believe China got their back. I really do. I believe China got their back. Well, yeah, the US is a mess. And I saw an article yesterday, the student loan situation has gotten worse. And people are still screaming and hollering to Biden about forgiving student loans. And I really think they should be forgiven, because over the last 2 years, this was really beyond anybody's control. It really was. And to me, if you got all this money to give away to Ukraine, you got money to forgive people on their student loans. You can forgive those loans. I mean, it's like he can't give enough money away to Ukraine right now. And some of that money could be used to alleviate Americans that are going through financial tough times because of the last 2 years and these mandates that were put on people that lost their jobs. You can help them out. America got a lot of internal problems that they're not dealing with. So it just looks crazy to give money to all these other people, and you got all of these internal problems that are not being dealt with, including our reparations. Mhm. Yeah, yeah. So America's in a lot of trouble anyway. Um, and the inflation. Oh my God. I was looking at the gas prices. It's well over $6 in a lot of places. And they're talking about cutting off or reducing the amount of Russian oil. Do y'all realize it's going to send the gas prices up even higher if they do reduce or even cut off Russian gas and oil in this country? Who knows how high the prices are going to go, but it's going to go way higher than what we're looking at. Yeah, yeah, it's crazy. Just looking all throughout the country what the gas prices are, and y'all, it's gonna get worse. You're gonna be paying even more by the time we get through spring and summer. Mhm. Wow, you know? But we shall see what happens over the coming weeks, because I really think yeah, yeah, see Arrowhead, you said keep going up like 50 cents a day. Yeah. I mean, pretty soon we're gonna be looking up and people are gonna be paying $8, $9 a gallon before this is all over. You know? Wow. I mean, I think it is going to get so bad. Some people are just going to park their car and say, "The hell with it, I'm not driving." Um, Alupa, and I think that's Kalula. Thank you so much for the super chat. Let me see what you wrote. You said Klaus Schwab runs USA and Dr. Fauci killed Dr. Sebi. Okay. Well, that's an interesting concept there. But yeah, the US is all talk, you know. Remember when I was growing up, it was $10 a gallon where you are. Wow. Wow, I'm not sure if I would get behind the wheel anymore if it's $10 a gallon. That's crazy. Um, I remember when I was growing up, um, they used to always talk about America's exceptionalism. And I was like, this place ain't exceptional, but that's the kind of garbage they fed the world. This place is not exceptional. Wow, 10 already. That is crazy. I can't even imagine what it's going to go up to. But yeah, America will use anything as an excuse to raise prices everywhere. I remember a couple of the hurricanes that hit Florida, and all of a sudden they would jump up on water prices here. I was like, well, the hurricane didn't happen here. Why are you raising the prices on water and other things like that? Because they just need any excuse to justify raising the price, even if a natural disaster didn't happen in your area, but because water is being spoken about on the news, oh, they're giving them cases of water, they all of a sudden go up on water. I noticed that even here where I am. I was like, well, that stuff ain't happening here. That's stupid. But that's how they nickel and dime you out of everything. So now the new thing is going to be this war. Oh, well, the war, we had to go up on this and that. The war is going on. Y'all just use any excuse to raise prices. They really do. Yeah. Stock up on food and, and just do the best that you can. I have a cousin, and what they do is they go to the farmers market down there. They live in Georgia, and there are farmer markets all over the place. And they go to a farmer's market, and what they do is they just rack up on everything and cut the food up and put it in their freezer. And they said when they do it that way, the food lasts for a long time before, especially the vegetables, before they have to buy it again. And that's how they've been getting through the entire pandemic. Um, 08094 Denise, thank you for the super sticker. and they said it's real hard to grow in their backyard because they got a lot of trees, and which they do. They have a lot of big trees in their backyard, so it's pretty much shaded, all over. So since it's so difficult to grow, and they did try to grow, but they now just said we just spend like 100, 200 on the farmer's market, and we just bring everything home in bulk. We just take the time and chop everything up, bag it, and put it in the freezer. So that's how they do it. So, look, one thing about us, we are very resourceful people. We know what to do. What's that saying? We can take a dollar and we can stretch a dollar. That ain't, that is not a lie. That is the truth. I have seen Black women in my life do that. They will take that little bit of money, go to the store, and have a big meal on the table for the family. I have seen it before. I've seen it before multiple times throughout my life, especially growing up in the hood. They know what to do with those few little dollars. If they don't have much, they know what to do to make it on that and still feed their families. That's one thing we're not lacking in, and we shouldn't be lacking in that right now. We shouldn't. Yeah, but Gentiles are on this thing about great reset, but they're going to remain on top, which is laughable. But although historically that never happened. I mean, did the Egyptians get to do a reset and just go back to the top? Come on, that historically that's never happened. It's not going to happen now. Slim Pick Pete, thank you for the super sticker. That's not going to happen now for them. I mean, that's wishful thinking on their part. But yeah, I keep hearing that from them. Oh, and then the elite gonna come back in power. Really, how? The elites are Gentiles just like the rest of you. How are they gonna come back in power? I mean, seriously, how? And you notice they don't tell you how, but just the elites gonna come back and get out of here. No elites coming back in power because they are a bunch of Gentiles and their time is done too. All right. Their time is done too. They're not going to come back in power to do squat. I mean, I don't know what crap maybe they're running around repeating stuff they got from their church. I don't know. But they're not going to come back in power no second time. But they seem to be on that very heavily. Keith Pratt, thank you so much for the super sticker. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know where they're getting this garbage from. And if there was a rapture, like they claim there's a rapture, how come the Ukrainians are not getting raptured away? Why are they in the middle of a war, being shelled and bombed, and their cities being taken over and their nuclear plant being taken over? Shouldn't they be some of the first ones to get raptured away? No, they ain't getting raptured away. They're running into Poland, Slovenia. I don't know. Maybe that's their rapture away. I don't know. But they're not getting raptured. If anybody should get raptured away, shouldn't it be the ones that are in the middle of a war? No, their butts are stuck right here. And just the Ukraine alone should show them they're not being raptured away. That should be proof right there. All right, y'all. I'm still running my mouth, and I said I wanted to get. I said I want to get off of here, so I'm going to go ahead and do just that. Please, everybody, be safe and take care of yourselves because these last days are critical that we're in. So all we need to do is stick close to our Heavenly Father. That's all we need to do. So may he keep his strong, permanent hedge of protection around you during these times and keep you safe from any of the trickeries and things that Gentiles do. But being that we see through all of the stuff, we're not so much fun for them to mess with anymore. But those that are naive are easy targets for them. So on that note, everybody, shalom, family.